I can see a lot of faces, folks who've been here before, so welcome back. We're going to begin with a word of prayer. So if you will join me by bowing your heads or standing as you would like. Without any further ado, I'm going to hand the microphone over to our moderator, Paul Gavolis. Oh, yes. You can, we ask that you please put your cell phones on mute or off, or you could even leave it at home like I did tonight.
Again, welcome. We have two candidates for the district clerk office, and since Barbara Damick, who has held that office for many years, is retiring, it's most likely one of these two ladies will be our new district clerk. So we hope you have some good questions for them. We will be pulling questions from the buckets that were out there. They'll be brought up here to me soon. If I go through all those and you have a question, just step outside, put your name on the slip, we'll put it back in the bucket, and you'll still get a chance to ask questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. We drew numbers at first, and Mrs. Miller will have first go on her opening statement, and then we have the best part of the evening, the questions from you, the audience. Okay? You have 1 minute to ask a question, not to make a statement or a political speech, but to ask a question, 1 minute. Each candidate will have a 2-minute response, and if there's something they need to say after that, they each have 2 chances for a 1-minute rebuttal. Okay? And then each candidate will have a 2-minute closing statement. Our timer is sitting here in the front row. Jeannie will show the candidates when their time is almost up. When it is, I hope we don't have to use the bell. We haven't had so far. Everybody's done a pretty good job. Okay? So if you will, keep all your comments very respectful. And again, if you've thought of something in the middle of the time, you can step out, put your name in the bucket, and we'll try to get everybody a chance to ask their questions. And with that, Mrs. Miller, would you like to lead off for a 2-minute opening statement?
Are these mics on? Yes. Okay. You can hear me? Hi, my name is Melissa Miller, and I'm running for district clerk. I first want to tell you about my personal life. Jason and I have been married almost 20 years. It will be April, will be our 20th anniversary. We have 2 children, 17 and 8. We attend Security First Baptist Church. For community involvement, we're involved in the McMesa Association, which is the Montgomery County, City of Conroe, and CIC Employee Scholarship Association. For the Republican Party, I have attended the precinct chairs and precinct conventions in 2014 and 2016. I have gone to the Senate District 4 conventions also in 2014 and 16, and in 2014, I was on the Rules Committee. I was a delegate to the State Convention in 2014. I serve on various Republican women's groups. I've been the treasurer and also the yearbook chair. For work experience, I have 19 years as a deputy clerk in the district clerk's office. I currently work for our county clerk, Mark Turnbull. In the district clerk's office, I started in the criminal division in May of 1998. I know everything from filing a case to the time of judgment to processing the appeal. My experience and knowledge is set apart from anyone else in the race. I know the strengths and the weaknesses of this office. I know how to address the problems. I know how to solve them. I'm ready to take on the leadership role, and I hope that after tonight I have your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Jameson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cynthia Jameson, and I want to be your next district clerk. My initial priorities as district clerk, if I am elected, are to improve online efficiency, transparency, and streamline the processes and procedures. I think it's really important to cross-train employees to make sure that everybody can do the same job. If there's a call that comes in that they need a document, anybody should be able to get that document. I think that it's also important to communicate and collaborate with the staff, the judges, and anybody else that has contact with that department. I think that it's important to get that feedback on customer service to make sure that we are giving the proper customer service that everybody deserves from a county office. I also want to study the budget and see where we can cut costs and to save taxpayer money. So that's what I want to do initially when I get into office. I am a 10-year employee of Montgomery County. I have worked in the Commissioner's office for 4 years, and then from there I moved to the Office of Emergency Management, and now I am the Homeland Security Planner and PIO for that office. PIO is Public Information Officer. I moved up very quickly in that office because I have the skills to learn my profession. I was the administrative assistant for 6 months, and I got the position as community preparedness planner. I was in that position for 2 years, and then I moved to Homeland Security Planner, and I've been there for 2 years. I have the skills to lead that office and to make it what it needs to be. It needs to be more modern. It needs to have better technology. Oh, I'm sorry.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get to the questions. The first one will be from Stephanie Hall.
Would both of you describe, when you get into the office, your first week and what you would do to get things going that first week that you're actually district clerk?
Ms. Jameson, would you lead off, please?
Sure. So the first week, I think what I would do is I'd have a staff meeting. I need to talk to the staff. I need to reassure them that there are going to be changes, but it's going to be I'm not going to be a tyrant. I will definitely make sure that everybody feels comfortable with the changes. I also would like to have a meeting with the judges and attorneys' offices that have contact with the district clerk's office and get their feedback on how we can move forward and make the changes that need to be made.
My first week in office, I would spend evaluating the business processes, making sure that everything is up to date. We just went through a legislative update. It was the 85th legislation. We need to make sure that everything is being done according to that update. Evaluating all the business processes, making sure that everything's running efficiently and smoothly as possible, addressing any issues that are outstanding. Then I would work on reviewing the budget. Looking at that, it will be budget season shortly after. Starts in March is when you get your packet. So you need to know exactly what's on the budget, where you stand, and evaluate that as well.
Thank you. Next question will be from Mr. Yalek.
Would you please explain what you would do when you're elected to modernize the district clerk's office, because it sorely needs it?
Ms. Miller, would you lead off?
Yes, to modernize the district clerk's office, I would look at utilizing more of the online services that Tyler Odyssey provides, striving to get the portal installed, which has been a delayed process for a few years now, which would make the records a lot easier to access for the attorneys and the public. As for modernizing, the electronic filing system is in place. It's something that Supreme Court mandated. There's really not much you can do to change it. E-file for criminal just went live in January. Pretty much every document coming in paper form, if there's any left, is being scanned in initially and then sent through a process for verification. modernizing in the courtroom. I think that the criminal court could be a little more electronic as well. Talking with IT, seeing what equipment is needed to initialize that and get it going, where judgments are being done electronically, thumbprints, finger signatures for judgments, instead of having paper forms. I think that's important to move the processes along with scheduling orders being done electronically. I guess it's me.
So I would do the same thing she's doing. Initially, I would like to look at other alternatives besides Tyler Technologies. I think that there are other things that we could do. Obviously, it's not something that will happen in the first year or maybe even the second year, but I think that there are other viable solutions that we can go with without having to add on and tack on to Tyler Technologies. That's what I would do to modernize the office. I think that it's important to really delve into what technologies are out there.
Thank you. Next question will be from John Wertz.
Thank you. Thank you for running for office, ladies. Ms. Jameson, I was quite surprised to read in the Golden Hammer that your Montgomery County campaign finance reports, which are now loaded into our U.S. Vote Smart system, have goose eggs up and down the cover, the second page of your campaign finance report. I can safely say I don't think I've ever seen that before. Please help me to understand. Is Mr. Hammer correct in his assertions that in the process of creating a special purpose entity, which for the life of me, again, I couldn't find you on the Texas Ethics Commission site, and the normal filing process with Election Central, that there were some illegalities between expenditures by the former, the Special Purpose District or Special Purpose Committee, and receivables by the latter,
Okay, so
which would be Montgomery County Election Central report.
I did file it with Montgomery County Election Central. If you look at the one that I posted on my website,
Okay.
you will see the seal, the same seal that we got, that you have on that page right there. I filed them the same day. So there's that. What they failed to tell people is that the committees are not posted on the public website for whatever reason. I don't know. I had to call and ask them, and they emailed it to me. So take that up with elections. I don't know why. It is perfectly legal what I did, and I will give credit to Mr. Yolick because I called the Ethics Commission yesterday just to make sure that I was not doing anything illegal, and they told me that I was absolutely in the right.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Mrs. Miller, would you like to comment?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question will be from Diana Gabolis. Somebody asked last class, I have no idea what she's going to answer. You're not coach her?
Nope, no coaching. I wanted to ask a question about two different things. I don't know much about the district clerk's office as far as people coming in. Do you have a waiting list? Is this just like you come in and it's one or two people, or is there a line at your office? Now I have another question too.
If you would ask it now.
Okay. Have you had experience, both of you, with hiring people and doing all the paperwork that goes with handling a division? And I'm supposing that would go with this job. Okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Miller, if you would like to reply.
Okay. People coming into the office, Currently, the setup is there are 5 windows that are open. People typically don't have to stand in a line, especially since most of the stuff is electronically filed nowadays. The attorneys rarely come to the office, so the regular people coming in to obtain copies or file their own pleadings, they typically don't stand in a line. If they do, it's 1 or 2 minute wait. Experience with hiring people, yes. I do have experience hiring people. I did the interviews for the district clerk's office for probably 4 years. The interviewing process, there was usually 2 of us in the room with the person being interviewed. We asked questions, gave details about the job. And yes, I know the paperwork that's involved, the payroll change forms that have to be filled out, all the new hire paperwork that has to be filled out and completed and sent to HR. So yes.
Mrs. Jamison?
I will answer to the paperwork and the hiring. I know the paperwork that is involved in hiring people and letting go of people. Working in the commissioner's office, I had to deal with that paperwork. I had to file it, and I had to make sure that it all went into Commissioner's Court and Human Resources in a timely manner. So I have experience in that. From what I understand, what I've heard about the district clerk's office is that sometimes when you go there, you may not have to wait in line, but there are several different windows that you have to visit in order to get your paperwork. So you have to go file for the paperwork, and then you have to go pay for the paperwork, and then you have to go back. I would like to probably streamline that a little bit more.
Thank you. Next question will be from Mark Frank.
Hi, ladies. Okay, the clerk's office does more than just open and close windows and take payments and print fun little copies to give to people. Therefore, there are many small moving parts that ultimately culminate to what is the clerk's office. So here's my question. Which processes do you feel are most redundant and time-consuming that could either be eliminated, removed, or improved on? And please elaborate on how you would improve them.
Ms. Jamison.
So I think that, as I said before, those windows and cross-training will definitely help to streamline those processes. I have a learning curve. I will have to learn and, better understand how those processes can be streamlined. It doesn't mean that I'm not up for the challenge. I am, and I can learn it very quickly. And as I come in, I will see them better because I will come in with a fresh perspective. I won't know how it works initially, but whenever I see discrepancies, I will be able to say, that does not need to be done, or why are we doing it that way when we can change it and make it more efficient? So that's what I bring to the table.
Processes that are redundant.
Sure, there's a lot.
I would start with the new suit filings and service. I think that's something that can probably, once training occurs and everybody fully understands how the process works, something that can be combined where we're filing the suit, issuing the service. Also, I would look at issuing service electronically. So instead of printing out the citation to have the attorney or process server come pick it up from our office, we would email it back to them. Warrants would be the same way. Warrants are currently printed and someone drives them to the sheriff's office, which is not efficient. We should be doing that electronically as well and getting those warrants over to the sheriff's office in a timely manner. Courtroom processes, I think there's a lot of redundancies in courtroom processes that need to be evaluated. From the time of processing the judgment goes from the court clerk in the courtroom over to a post-judgment division where they then report the disposition to DPS in criminal cases. I think the clerk could probably, with the proper training, go through that process as well instead of pushing it off to another department and speeding up the process. Those are just a few.
Thank you. After this name, bucket be empty. So if you've thought of a question while these have been going on, if you please step to the back, fill out one of the slips, we will get to your question. This question is from Bob Holden.
Bob Holden, Montgomery County. Yes, ladies, now I'm sure that both of you have been trained in several filing systems, both paper and electronic. Do you expect that, or already have, a standardized, detailed, published filing system and ensure that all employees are trained in it? This comes because in corporate America, it is not uncommon that this is not the case, but it's even more commonly not the case in government offices, and that contributes significantly to inefficiencies. Thank you.
Ms. Miller?
Currently, the district clerk's office has limited procedural manuals, and I know that because I started creating them, I started working on them.
I'm sorry, I was asking about filing systems.
Oh, I thought you also mentioned published procedural manuals.
No, published filing systems.
Filing systems. The filing system that is currently being utilized by the district clerk's office is Odyssey Case Management System, and Montgomery County went through a process to choose a new case management system because the system they were currently on was outdated and being done away with. So RFPs were sent out. We evaluated the different companies that came to the table with bids. They demonstrated their products. Odyssey was the best fit. It wasn't just the district clerk's office that decided that. It was the courts, the county clerk, district attorney, county attorney. Multiple agencies were involved in selecting the new case management system to ensure that things flowed properly and information was being distributed equally among the different agencies. And if the district attorney filed a case, they entered information into the system. The district clerk would not have to repeat that information when the case was sent to them for filing. Paper and electronic. Electronic filing is a Supreme Court mandated system. The clerk's office did not have any say-so on what system was being installed or implemented. It was the Supreme Court decided, said here's the order, you follow it. So we have guidelines from the Supreme Court that are published. I believe we're on standard 4.5 now for the rules for e-filing.
And are all the employees briefed on this and have it available to them?
I cannot answer if the new employees are, but the employees that were under me and trained, yes, I always try to make sure they had the most up-to-date information possible. I created procedural manuals for them to follow. Yes, we tried the best we could. I can't answer for current employees, though.
Mrs. Jamison?
So I understand that, yes, we do have the Odyssey system. What I've gathered is that it's not the best system. I do know that per our county guidelines, they do go through RFP and they went through the whole process. A whole committee decided to go with this company, but they were under a time crunch. They had to pick the best company that they had available at the time. I believe that there are other options, and I would love to explore those options. You know, if I get into office, then I would be happy to. I do understand that the filing system that they use, the district clerk's office uses it, the courts use it, and the county clerk's office uses it, but not all the JPs use it. I would like to find a system that everybody's comfortable to use and everybody, you know, goes under the same umbrella. That's what I want to bring to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, that's mine. I put the question instead of my name. Amy Van Horn. Okay. I got a question.
Mrs. Van Horn?
Okay. Amy Van Horn. Melissa gave us our understanding of what she's done for the Republican Party. I want to know, Cynthia, what have you done for the Republican Party or your involvement with politics?
Well, I will tell you, my involvement with politics is recent. Just once I decided to run, I started to go to the Republican Women's. Before that, it was just busy working with county government, and that's
Okay.
my
thank you.
story.
Okay.
We got another one. Good. And Jim Howard. 1 minute per question.
I would imagine that the budget for the clerk's office is something that the clerk office files for with the Commissioner's Court, and then they issued the budget. Is there ever been a history of ever coming under budget? And if you ever come under budget, is there a reward for that? Or is it like if you don't spend it this year, you're not going to get it next year?
Jameson, would you lead off, please?
So,
I'm sorry, am I supposed to?
it's okay. As far as budget, if you don't spend it this year, generally, I don't think that you get it next year in just the broad spectrum of county budget. And so I think that most people do try to spend their budget accordingly so that they will get the same budget the next year. That's not what I hope to do. I hope to definitely cut that if I'm able to.
Thank you. Any history?
The budget process starts in March. Everyone's handed a packet. You see your spending trends for at least 3 years back. As far as the money, what I know of the budget is that when it comes close to the time where it's closing and it's the end of the fiscal year and your budget's ending, everybody does a mass order to empty out their coffers. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if you have extra money left over at the end of the year that you haven't spent, it needs to go back. I would evaluate the budget, each item line that they have or line item that they have, look at the spending trend in the past, look at what we need. While we're moving forward in electronic processes, our paper should be decreasing, so costs, we should be losing costs at certain points, the more electronic your environment gets. So I would look at all of that and look at where we can cut.
Thank you.
Okay, I will accept a few questions just from raised hands. Pat, introduce yourself.
I worked for the City of Houston as administrator for 17 years, so I know a little bit about government employment. One of the things that I always thought was really important was that you take a look at what other cities are doing as far as your job is concerned. Do you have training and opportunities in your division? If so, do you encourage that and then try to meet their standards or better them?
Yes, actually, during my time in the district clerk's office and as office manager, I attended several different conferences for district and county clerks. And you have the networking option there to talk to people. Also, the Odyssey conference as well, you have a chance to meet with other users and see how they're utilizing the software and look at different options and work with them. I've also worked with Fort Bend County within the district clerk's office to see how their processes are going, what we can do differently, what we can bring to Montgomery County, what they can take from Montgomery County as well. Henderson County has contacted me on numerous occasions, so has the clerk in Bryan College Station, to see how we're using Odyssey and what they can do to improve their Odyssey system as well. So yes, clerks work together and they try to utilize what they have and learn from each other. So yes, I would definitely keep doing that.
So in my position now, I do definitely work regionally, so I have, we talk to all the same counties she just mentioned. But most recently, I did talk to Chris Daniel in Harris County and talk to him about how, or his suggestions on what we could change at the district clerk's office here. And he was really excited about the idea and the prospect of working together to make some changes that would really benefit Montgomery County. So yes, collaboration with other counties is a phenomenal idea. It needs to start here, though. We need to definitely collaborate here first and figure out what we need to do to help our county, and then move out and see how we can work together with other counties.
Any other questions from the audience? Sir? Okay, Second questions and follow-ups are permitted. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Scott Schultz. I was just wanting to see if you could give me a broad overview of what are the roles and responsibilities of district clerk, just because I'm not that familiar with it. And also, like, how many employees and types of employees in terms of, functions in accounting or law or whatever. If you could just kind of give me a broad overview.
Okay.
Mrs. Jameson?
Okay, so my broad overview is the county clerk's office is the custodial of the court documents. So everything's filed through the county clerk's office. We don't do it. They do the jury selection and summonsing, so they make sure that there's a jury, a grand jury, and I will defer the rest to Ms. Miller, because she did work for that office, so she could probably give you a better idea of exactly what that office does.
Okay. The district clerk's office is the main record keeper for the district courts and 2 of the county courts. They file all of the lawsuits, civil, family. For criminal, it's felony, so anything you can go to prison for or be put to death for. And then the juvenile matters are all filed with the district clerk's office. Along with filing the suits, they have to keep up with the daily pleadings that are being filed into those suits, issuing service. They go to court to assist the judges with the dockets, processing the paperwork that's being handled there. For a criminal docket, it could be anything from a judgment to a scheduling order. For a civil case, it could be processing the judgment or any motions that are being handled, orders that are being signed. Once that is complete, they have a post-judgment department where the judgments go and they're processed from there, depending on what type of judgment it is and what needs to be done. They handle all of the appeals. So if you file a notice of appeal because you disagree with the judge's ruling, the clerk prepares the clerk's record to send to the Court of Appeals. They also prepare writs on criminal cases to go to the Court of Criminal Appeals. They're also a financial officer, so if a minor is awarded money and they're under the age of 18, that money is placed into the registry of the court, which the clerk then handles from there. They are the jury keeper. The jury plan was signed December of 2005, which made the district clerk the jury manager. So she's charged with summonsing the jurors. So the coordinators tell the district clerk when they need jurors, and she sends out the summons, gets the jurors there, and disperses them to the various courts that are needed. There's probably a lot more, but I'm almost out of time. But in a nutshell, that's the district clerk's office.
How many employees are?
Oh, I'm sorry, there are 64 employees.
Thank you.
64.
Anyone else? Mr. Frank had his hand up first, and then we'll get to Mr. Young.
Okay, in my time in Harris County, I saw a lot of things that just made me want to vomit, just to be honest. So let's discuss how it affects Montgomery County now. Between a entry-level clerk versus a senior clerk, there's not too much of a pay difference. But once we start bumping up to supervisors, managers, administrative assistants, directors, we start seeing huge pay jumps. Whereas there may be someone who's been there 20 years, looking to retire, they get paid minimally compared to someone who they're actually training to take their position that's brand new. How does that make y'all feel? Oh, she's getting in trouble.
No, I won't get in trouble. The district clerk's office has a clerk 2, which is an entry-level position, making anywhere from $28,000 to $32,000, I believe. Then they move up to clerk 3, which is a fairly new position. And from my understanding, the pay scale for that is quite larger. And then there is a clerk 4, which are your courtroom clerks, the clerks that are actually attending court and assisting to the judges. And their pay scale, I believe, is anywhere from 33 to 38. I could be a little off there. Your post-judgment clerks or your appellate clerks are obviously another step higher, and they make anywhere from $38,000 to $43,000. Your finance clerks are about the same pay as your post-judgment clerks. Then you move into your supervisor positions, where most supervisors make anywhere from $42,000 to $48,000. And then there's one administrative assistant. I believe her salary is around $65,000 to $68,000. And then the district clerk herself.
Okay,
What's the
so
district clerk's pay? I heard it.
$124,000.
God. Oh, there,
So, in any county job, there are pay grades. So if you fall in a pay grade, that's what you're going to get paid. Unfortunately, it goes with your title as well. So if you're able to move that title from clerk to administrative assistant, you're going to get paid higher. If I get into office, that's something that it needs to be evaluated. You need to look at it and see that pay grade is fair across the board. And if it's not, you need to, fix that and make sure that everybody is getting what they deserve.
Now, I believe we have one question from the back of the room.
Okay. Oh, she's got a rebuttal.
Thank you.
For the pay grades, just to be clear, the county did an evaluation and the new system was put into place. So those pay grades are set by the county, by the commissioner's court. And I believe the last time they did the evaluation was in 1999. So yes, I would be disgusted, and I was disgusted when I worked there to know the differences in salaries. And it goes from the county clerk to the district clerk. We do fairly similar roles, but yet one department makes a considerably a lot larger sum than the district clerk's office. So I would want to work with the county clerk to see if we can come together and get our employees on the same grades and the same skills.
Question, Ben? Oh, yeah. Introduce yourself. You have 1 minute for a question.
Okay. My name is Jim Doyle. Some years ago, my family was put on trial for crimes that never even happened, and they were convicted, sentenced, they were given large sentences for nothing. And we believe that the juries were rigged in those trials. We were on the road district. What can you do to make sure that doesn't ever happen again? That nothing like that will ever happen again.
That juries won't be rigged?
Right.
Just make sure that they're not rigged. I don't know. Make sure that there are checks and balances all the way across, that nobody's doing anything subpar.
Well,
That's
we
what I
had
would do.
people in this jury.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle, for your question. The jury process is a fairly secure process. The Secretary of State compiles the list, which is a combination of a list sent from DPS and a list sent from elections for voter registrations. So that list is compiled at the Secretary of State. They go through a process to weed out people that are no longer allowed or eligible to serve on a jury. That list is then sent to the district clerk's office, but it's in a secure manner to where it cannot be tampered with. So from the Secretary of State, it's delivered to a sheriff's deputy. The sheriff's deputy then meets with the deputy district clerk's office. It's all under lock and key. It's placed in a safe until it's time to be constituted and placed into effect into the computer system. So it is a fairly secure system. As far as once you get into the courtroom and the parties involved and the attorneys, there's really not much you can do to protect it from there. But the clerk's office duties set out by the statute and how everything flows is a fairly secure process. I would ensure that all of those steps are being taken place and that the will, from the time it's created and sent to us, is kept per code how it should be. And I would just take every step I could, Mr. Doyle, to ensure that there's no tampering with any jury list or jury summons.
Mr. Yellen?
Larry Swearingen is not dead yet, primarily because of a snafu in the district clerk's office. What would you, as the district clerk, do to make sure that something like that ever happens? What would you do to make sure that nothing like that ever happens again, both in that kind of case and in any similar case? Thanks.
Larry Swearingen is an unfortunate incident that happened, could have been prevented. It is the direct responsibility of the district clerk, solely her responsibility to ensure that the death warrant is issued properly. Death warrants are not issued on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, or even a yearly basis. These are not things that you handle daily. The process, each time you issue a death warrant, should be reviewed. You need to make sure that your process is up to code, that no legislative changes have come into play. When the warrant is issued, and I believe the issue at hand, Mr. Yolick, is the fact that the order for the warrant was sent to the wrong office. The code allows for that order to be sent 3 ways: mail, fax, or email. I would ensure that I sent it all 3 ways, for one, and then I would call for verification that they've gotten it and everything's in order. It is, like I said, directly the sole responsibility of the district clerk when it comes to a death warrant, and I would take that on. I would not push that off to any employee.
So I would have to agree with Melissa. That is a responsibility, that would be, my responsibility with something that high profile and something that doesn't happen every day. It's not a daily process and procedure. It's something that's very important that needs to be handled by the district clerk herself. So anything like that would definitely, it would be my baby. I would make sure that it happened properly. Other things that might happen, it's training. You need to make sure that your staff is trained and that they have all of the necessary things that they need to in order to function and be able to do their job properly. And that's what you have to do as the leader of the office, to make sure that everybody has the knowledge and information that they need in order to do their job.
Okay, I think we have time for one more. Somebody that hasn't asked a question yet? Dale?
Dale Fessenden, and thank you for your best answer to this. Both of you are longtime county employees. It has been reported that in various segments of the county government there are unfilled positions, and sometimes those are unfilled for a long period of time. Do you have, you don't have to give specific details, but have you seen these positions remain unfilled for a lengthy period of time, possibly for the purpose of using those funds for other purposes, which would be unethical if not illegal? And I'm not saying just in the departments in which you work, but have you seen this happen in any other county departments? And again, don't give details.
So I could only assume that if it's unfilled, it has to do with the fact that they have not found the proper candidate for that position. That's all I know. I cannot speak about other departments.
I cannot speak to other departments as well. I know the district clerk's office, when a position opens, it usually takes about a month or 2 to fill, because you want to take the time to interview each person coming through to ensure that they're the right fit for the district clerk's office. So the interview process could be lengthy. Maybe that's why they have the position open for a while. I can't speak to other departments, only to the district clerk's office, and I know that it takes usually 1 to 2 months once you get the position posted. You get a lot of candidates in, you want to take the time to interview them and ensure you got the right fit.
Thank you. Any others? Frank, you have one more? I just finished.
Talk about this all night, I got a meeting. Okay.
Remember, Mr. Frank, we're going to come to your forum.
Yeah, come to my forum. Come on, everybody's welcome. Y'all can harass me all night. Okay, see, I was playing too much, and I forgot. Oh, yes, we keep talking about legislative changes. I have a unique background in organizational development practitioner. Ladies, have y'all ever had to forefront a big, massive change, especially when it comes to legislation issues? And then, if so, what were your challenges, and what did you do to overcome them?
Yes, I have dealt with the legislative changes. As part of my responsibility as office manager, I was to keep up with all legislative updates that were coming through, and monitor those, as well as AG opinions that might affect the district clerk's office as well, and adjust policies and procedures to that effect. Challenges, I don't think there were really any challenges. The only challenge would be understanding what legislative is wanting to do. But other than that, no real challenges for me. I also led the Odyssey implementation, which was pretty big overhaul for the county, and taking an antiquated system and moving all the data over to a sophisticated system was challenging, but we made it through it. We went live before any other office. We also transitioned from LexisNexis, which was the original e-filing system, over to the e-file Texas, which is the Supreme Court mandated system. So that was another transition we went through and I have experience with. But no real challenges. I think everything was pretty smooth and successful, and I enjoyed working on every project I did.
Thank you.
So I worked in the government side of county government, not the judicial side, so I really haven't dealt with any legislative changes in my position. I've dealt with lots of changes, but not any legislative changes, no.
Okay, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a summary statement, and I'm sure they will be available out in the foyer afterwards if you have additional questions. So, Mrs. Jamison, if you will lead off.
I want to be your next district clerk, and I hope that I've at least planted the seed to make you think that I could do the job, and do some more research and see what I am capable of doing. I've, succeeded in the jobs that I have so far. My endorsements are nice. I have Barbara Damick's endorsement. I have Chris Daniels from Harris County District Clerk's endorsement. I have Nikki Kelly, my ex-supervisor, and Ed Chance. He was also an employer of mine. They've all endorsed me. If that's not a reference that I can do the job, then I don't know what could be. Anyway, I hope that I get your vote, and I'm Cynthia Jamison.
Thank you.
What I want to leave you with is hopefully that you see that I'm the candidate with the experience and the knowledge necessary to move this office forward. I've remained committed, and I will remain committed to working for this county and striving to improve in every way that I can. The district clerk's office, I spent 19 years there. It is my heart, my soul. I loved working there. I loved everything about my job. It was just what I wanted to do. And taking this step and stepping out and running for office was a big commitment that my family and I made. And we didn't take it lightly. And we're here today. We're going to continue. And I hope that I've earned your vote and your support. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take about a 10, 15-minute break. Will the other